Suddenly quitting his job and barely working, I had to desperately juggle housework, childcare, and my job in place of my husband, Mike. One day, when I came back from work, my parents-in-law were at the house. For some reason, the living room was filled with piles of cardboard boxes. What's all this? My mother-in-law, Sharon, showed a nasty smile. We're moving in here. What? I sold the house to Mom and Dad. From today, I'm living with my parents. Mike declared this with a triumphant look towards me. And the parents-in-law also directed a malicious grin at me. You don't give birth to a son and slack off on housework. We don't need a wife like that. You're an outsider. Get out. Father-in-law, Sean, followed Sharon's lead. I was dumbfounded. Sure, the house was in Mike's name, but I was the one paying the monthly mortgage of $2,800. After a while, intense anger welled up from the bottom of my heart. I've had enough. Who do they think has been supporting this lifestyle for the last 22 years? If that's what they want, I'll become the stranger they wish for. They'll regret this, and it won't be my concern. My name is Caddy, 50 years old. I work as a full-time employee. I met my husband, Mike, at the variety store where we worked. He came to pick out a birthday present for Sharon, and I recommended an apron and a tea set. Later, we ran into each other again at a town revitalization event. Mike and I lived in the same town. Feeling a connection, we struck up a conversation during a break, hit it off, and started dating. It was then I learned that Mike was an employee of a leading company. After the usual dates like going to movies and aquariums, we got married the following year. Soon after, we were blessed with a daughter. When I told Mike, he momentarily showed a surprised expression, but quickly his face lit up with joy. I can't believe I'm going to be a dad. Mom and Dad will be thrilled. Let's wait until it's safe to tell Sean and the others. It would be too sad if something happened, like a miscarriage. Right. Understood. Mike gently stroked my not yet swollen belly and smiled tenderly. Even such commonplace interactions filled me with contentment. Little did I know then how gradually our happy days would start to crumble. What a girl. Sean, upon entering the hospital room and disdainfully glancing at my crying daughter Nicola, was ready to leave within 5 seconds of his arrival. Sharon also frowned at Nicola without offering a single word of congratulations to me, not even a smile. She's ugly. Just like Caddy. Newborns look like this, you know. Shifting her gaze from Mike, who laughed it off, to me exhausted in bed, Sharon vented her irritation. Failing to produce a boy, what a defective wife. Utterly useless. Now, Caddy did her best. We came all the way from out of state for this, a complete waste of time and money. Pay us back for the gas and lunch. Of course. Thank you for coming. Mike responded with a smile to the grumpy parents-in-law and escorted them to the entrance of the maternity hospital. When Mike returned, I expressed my discontent. They weren't even invited. Mom said to let them know when the grandchild is born. Mike answered without a hint of guilt. You told them it was a girl, right? I did, but I guess they were hoping for a boy. All my cousins have sons, you know. Still, to say it like that. It's as if I'm some sort of defect. I was close to tears. It was too sad to endure labor from dawn till dusk only for the grandparents to treat my child so dismissively. Don't worry about it. They're just not good at showing their feelings. They're actually happy. It's their first grandchild, after all. They'll come to adore her. Mike laughed lightly. Being an only child who was lovingly raised, Mike was laid back and kind-hearted. He never doubted that his parents would cherish their grandchild. However, having been glared at by Sharon throughout our initial meeting before we were married, was careful not to be overly optimistic. Sharon had always seen me as the woman who stole her precious son and harbored animosity towards me from the start. Probably, her anger only grew when the eagerly awaited grandchild turned out to be a girl. My suspicions were confirmed. Even when we took Nicola to visit for Christmas or family gatherings, my parents-in-law acted as if Nicola didn't exist. They treated me like a servant, lavished attention on Mike as if he were a guest, and ignored Nicola entirely. Even when we were around relatives, he would smile at Mike's nephews, but when Nicola started crying,
"Shut that baby up! Don't let her cry!"
he hurled insults at her. When I protested, Sharon lashed out at me. "I never wanted a granddaughter. You're lucky these days. Even if you can only give birth to girls, you're still kept around." Mike looked my way, but quickly returned to laughing and chatting with his cousins. I felt a deep sense of despair. Mike wasn't kind. He was someone who, to keep his parents happy, would easily dismiss his wife and child. And there was another thing I realized after getting married. Contrary to his gentle appearance, Mike was overly confident. Perhaps it was because he had always received praise from his parents for his good grades and had secured a job at a prestigious company. He always believed he was right. Night after night, Mike would drink and complain about work to me. "A colleague took the team leader position from me, even though I'm better at the job." "I'm sure your colleague has been working hard too." "No, he must have just sucked up to the boss. The boss who can't see my worth is trash too." Initially, I listened sympathetically, but I was also working full-time, taking care of Nicola, doing the daycare drop-offs and pickups, and managing the household chores. We had promised to share the household duties since we both worked, but once we got married, Mike used his clumsiness as an excuse to avoid them. And whenever I tried to vent about my own work frustrations, Mike would look annoyed. "I'm tired. Let's talk another time. It'll only take 5 minutes. I'd like you to listen." Instead of that, I had a tough day today. It wasn't a big mistake, but my boss went crazy. It's so frustrating. He can't do a perfect job himself. It wasn't uncommon for him to ignore others' stories and focus only on his own. Moreover, using his tiredness as an excuse, he would spend his weekends holed up in his study. If it was quiet, he was sleeping. If he was talking happily, he was engrossed in online games on his computer. As a result, I couldn't get any time for myself. When Nicola cried, I had to do the housework while carrying her on my back, barely managing to have a leisurely lunch. "Mike, I understand work is tough for you, but managing work, household chores, and childcare all by myself is hard too. I wish you could watch Nicola for just an hour on the weekend so I could go to the hair salon or relax at a cafe." When I appealed to him, Mike twisted his face. "Caddy, do you value your own time over our adorable daughter? I just want a little break sometimes. Come on, shouldn't a mom naturally sacrifice everything? You need to have a bit more awareness as a parent." I regretted asking Mike for help, treated so coldly. I start to wonder if I'm the one who's wrong. Sometime after Nicola turned 3, while I was hurriedly preparing dinner as Nicola watched anime videos, Mike came home. "Welcome home. No overtime today? I quit. I quit my job." I nearly dropped the plate I was holding. I asked Mike with a voice that's almost inside out. "Wait, what exclamation question mark? You're telling me this after the fact exclamation question mark? It's my life. I can make my own decisions, right?" I was stunned.
You're not single exclamation question mark. We just took out a mortgage last year, and there are Nicola's education expenses exclamation question mark.
I know. I'll take a break for a while and then look for another job. Mike retorted irritably. Caddy, you're so cold. I talked to Dad and Mom about it, and they said I should do what I want. They're supporting me, told me to hang in there. Feeling dizzy, I placed my hand on my forehead and slumped into a kitchen chair. I couldn't believe he would quit his job suddenly when we had a family. The fact that he consulted his parents beforehand was infuriating. He must have anticipated my opposition. I sighed and struggled to find words.
Make sure to apply for unemployment benefits soon. I know. Don't look like that. I'm skilled, so I'll find a better company in no time.
I felt irritated by Mike's laughter. And indeed, Mike's journey to re-employment was fraught with difficulty. If he hadn't been picky about the job type or salary, I'm sure he would have found something sooner. However, Mike had detailed conditions such as wanting a desk job, weekends off, long vacations, within 30 minutes from home, and a higher salary than his previous job, so despite searching online and visiting the employment office, he couldn't find any satisfying results. Eventually, Mike declared,
I'm going to start a company. See, I'm not the type to work for others, I'm meant to be the one in charge. Being an employee isn't for me,
he stated firmly.
I'll study business management.
And with that, he secluded himself in the study. However, all I could hear through the door were video game sounds and chats with gaming friends. Despite being at home all the time, he showed no signs of working, nor did he help with housework or childcare, just enjoying his leisure time. Naturally, with Mike's salary gone, I had to earn more. I got promoted to store manager, was entrusted with ordering products and buying goods from other regions, and my salary increased steadily. Even when Nicola graduated from her desired university, started working, and moved out, Mike remained the same. He picked up some computer skills and started doing some work from home, but only about 3 days a week. He claimed,
I work from morning till night every day.
But it was obvious what was happening. When he was genuinely working, the sound of the keyboard could be heard through the door, but when he was gaming, laughter and conversations leaked out. So, naturally, he earned about 1/10 of my monthly salary. Yet, he wouldn't even take his used dishes to the sink. I'm tired. He complained a lot and even expected me to prepare lunch.
Hey, how about we get delivery? It's tough to prepare lunch especially.
I suggested this due to my overwhelming workload, but he immediately dismissed it.
I said something simple like a sandwich would be fine. It's not easy at all. If you're not good at cooking, at least help with the laundry or cleaning. I'm busy. You should be able to handle that much, you're the housewife.
Mike grumbled discontentedly and shut himself in his study. After repeating such exchanges, I gave up, feeling profoundly disappointed. I never thought he lacked consideration to this extent before we got married. One weekend night, returning from work, I saw Sean's car parked. The parents-in-law, who live in the neighboring city, usually called Mike over if they needed something. This was the first time they had come over. Entering the house with curiosity, I found the living room inexplicably filled with cardboard boxes. Noticing my return, Sharon approached with a snide remark.
Finally back, huh? Leaving the house empty until this hour, is that what a housewife does? Exclamation question mark. What's all this?
Sharon smirked.
We're moving in. What? Moving in together? Exclamation question mark.
I almost panicked. This was the first I'd heard of the parents-in-law wanting to move in. But even if I objected, they probably wouldn't listen. Entering the kitchen to confront Mike, I noticed the empty cupboard.
Huh? I can't find my favorite tea set.
Mike, who was unpacking dishes that seemed to belong to his parents, casually declared. I threw it all away. You don't need it anymore. Shocked, I looked at Mike as he disdainfully added.
I sold the house to Mom and Dad. From today, I'm living with the parents. What exclamation question mark?
We don't need a wife who can't bear a son or skips on housework.
You, an outsider, should leave.
The parents-in-law, who had appeared at some point, echoed Mike's sentiment. I was dumbfounded. Indeed, the house was in Mike's name, but I was the one paying the monthly mortgage of $2,800. After a moment, intense anger bubbled up from within me. I had had enough. Who did they think had supported this lifestyle for the past 22 years? If that's what they wanted, then fine, I'll become the stranger they so desire. Let them regret it if they will. Feeling resolved, I immediately sprang into action. 3 minutes later, while calling a moving company as I ascended the stairs to the bedroom on the second floor, I packed essentials into my suitcase. At this point, I couldn't wait to leave the house any quicker. As I was packing toiletries and clothes, Mike came up behind me.
What? This Friday, Mom said you should come help clean up their house.
He said in a small voice, making a presumptuous request. To play the good son, Mike was completely submissive to his parents. I glared at him.
I thought I was an outsider, right? Why would I need to go?
Legally, you're still my wife, so help out. Once we're done with the cleanup, we'll file for divorce, so just come, okay?
I'm busy with work.
I brushed him off, and then Sharon, who had somehow made her way upstairs, chimed in. Caddy works at a variety store, right?
Yes.
Must be nice and easy for you. It's practically like playing, isn't it? Sharon said, looking down on me. No one would miss you if you took a day off. Helping with your husband's family's house cleanup is more important than such trivial work, right? Come on, you will come, won't you? Commanding in a haughty tone, Sharon returned to the living room. As I finished preparing to leave the house and started descending the stairs, I overheard Mike and the in-laws' conversation.
This white cupboard is so stylish. Did Mike choose it? Yeah. I knew it. You've always had such great taste.
And this sofa is really comfortable too.
It's from a Scandinavian brand. It was expensive, you know.
Proudly said Mike, almost making me burst into laughter. The TV is the latest model too, and the TV stand looks cool. This spacious living room. The room that will become ours is perfect too.
Our house has gotten quite old. It was a great decision to plan the layout of this house with cohabitation in mind from the start.
Now that the insolent grandchild has started living alone, all we need to do is kick Caddy out. Once she's gone, we can remodel it for elderly care. Hearing the parents-in-law excitedly discussing this made everything click for me. When it came time to build the house, I suggested a ready-built home due to our limited savings, but Mike was vehemently against it. He wanted to build a house that was too large for a 3-person family, a custom-built home from a major manufacturer with 5 bedrooms, a study, a living room, a dining room, and a kitchen, insisting on designing a garden and having a pantry among other demands. As a result, our monthly payments skyrocketed, but since Mike was working at a leading company and our combined income was more than sufficient, I went along with his wishes. I never imagined Mike would quit his job the following year, so I clenched my fists in anger. I wasn't running around doing household chores, childcare, and work, paying a hefty $2,800 mortgage every month, just to give the parents-in-law this house for free. Losing my appetite, I left my dinner in the fridge, exited the house with my suitcase, and headed to a business hotel. Later, I took some paid time off to prepare for the move, returned home while the parents-in-law and Mike were relaxing in the living room, and had the movers estimate the cost for moving my belongings and furniture. On the day of the cleanup at the in-laws, I went from the business hotel back home and, while Mike was getting ready to leave, I held my stomach and feigned illness. "Sorry, my stomach hurts a bit. Could you go ahead to your parents' house?" "Eh? I don't want to be a burden to Sharon and the others." "Can't be helped. Make sure you come soon." After watching Mike's car leave through the window, I could barely contain my laughter. In the afternoon, when the parents-in-law and Mike returned exhausted. "Oh, I'm so tired. We should have just hired a cleaning service."
Hey, Caddy. Why aren't you answering your phone after I called so many times?
As the parents-in-law and Mike entered, complaining, they were speechless. Sharon screamed as they faced the kitchen and living room, now vast empty spaces.
"Why is all the furniture gone?" The dining table, sofa, table, TV stand, TV, even the light bulbs, air conditioner, and curtains are gone!
I had them moved to my new place. Don't worry about the dishes, I haven't thrown any away. I've left them all here for you. Pointing to the dishes left on the kitchen counter, Mike exploded in anger.
What? Don't just do things on your own.
Well, what's wrong with taking things that I bought with my own money? Mike stumbled over his response as I calmly laid out the facts. The parents-in-law protested angrily.
"Caddy, having the nerve when you've been living off Mike! Exactly! Weren't all the furniture and appliances provided by Mike?"
I couldn't help but snort and glanced sideways at Mike.
"When we signed for this house, Mike had blown his bonus on game microtransactions and had no money at all. So, I was the one who furnished the entire house, from the interior to the appliances. Right?"
Mike awkwardly casts his gaze to the floor. Seeing Mike like that, the parents-in-law blinked in surprise. However, they were not to be outdone.
"But thanks to Mike starting his company, you and your daughter have lived comfortably without wanting for anything, right? That's right. How dare you, his wife, act so high and mighty? Know your place."
I sighed and pulled out Mike's debit card along with mine. As I brushed away Mike's hand attempting to retrieve his card, I presented them to the parents-in-law.
"Do you see? Mike's income is 1/10 of my monthly salary."
Struggling with their presbyopia, the parents-in-law brought the 2 debit cards closer, then further away, before exclaiming in shock. Then, they both turned on Mike.
"What's this?" It's even less than what you give your nephew in gift cards. You said you were running a personal IT office with 20 employees, right? Was all that a lie?
Huh? Mike, flustered, seemed to think he'd stumbled upon a great idea and continued.
"Actually, I've been taking on the housewife role." "What?" "Since Caddy is always busy with work and neglects the house, I've been doing the household chores. Balancing that with running a company has been tough, so my income has decreased."
How far would this man go with his lies? Yet, it seemed the parents-in-law bought it easily. A house husband, huh? Seems to be common these days.
That's our Mike. Being able to balance work, household chores, and parenting.
Mike beamed a sigh of relief as the parents-in-law praised him. This was hopeless. There's no saving this situation. The parents-in-law's blind trust in their son is becoming increasingly pitiable. Realizing further conversation was pointless, I handed Mike the signed divorce papers. There's something I'd like to discuss regarding the distribution of property.
What? We each have a car, right? They need to be considered as joint property and divided between us.
Mike looked puzzled, so I elaborated.
We can either sell both cars and split the proceeds, or one person can keep driving their car while compensating the other with half of its appraised value. You want to sell my car? No way! About your beloved car, though, I paid for it because you convinced me we'd share it, but you never let me use it even once.
Mike frowned and muttered complaints.
Mine cost $70,000. Yours is just a used small car. That would mean I lose out.
I don't want to sell mine either.
So, shall we skip the property distribution?
Yeah. Internally, I thought everything was going according to plan. As I was about to leave the house, Sharon chased me to the entrance.
Caddy, either return the furniture or pay up. Mike will buy it. Yeah, Mom. I'll buy it,
Mike said with a proud smile. Oh, is that so? Then, we have no use for you.
Then, goodbye.
Not wanting to intrude on their family time any further, I left. I explained the situation to my daughter Nicola and arranged to stay in her apartment until I found a new place. Nicola gladly agreed. I had the movers take away the unwanted furniture and only moved my favorite items to Nicola's place. Eventually, the divorce was finalized, and sometime later, on a certain day, Mike called. On the phone, Mike's voice sounded like he was about to cry.
Hey, a notice for the house loan came! Why! The bank couldn't make the withdrawal because you didn't have $2,800 in the account, did you? How would I have that kind of money?
I shook my head, exasperated.
You were able to pay the mortgage up to now because I was transferring money to your bank account every month, remember?
Mike gasped on the other end of the phone, seemingly having forgotten.
The house was in your name because, at the time we took out the loan, you were an employee of a top company. It was easier to get the loan approved with you rather than me. Neither of us expected you to quit your job the following year.
That's
Having me cover the mortgage and living expenses became so normal for you that you must have thought money was magically appearing, didn't you?
Mike fell silent. It seemed I had hit the nail on the head.
From now on, you'll have to earn and pay it yourself. What! Impossible! Keep paying like before, Caddy, please. Dad, that's shameless. After kicking Mom out, you have the nerve to ask that?
Nicola, having overheard our conversation, snatched the phone to scold him. Nicola? It's been a while. Are you doing well?
That's not the point right now.
Nicola retorted coldly.
If you can't pay, why not sell the house and move in with the in-laws?
We've already sold their house. We used the money to remodel it for elderly care. Nicola, you can help, right? You're working for a top company, aren't you? Hearing Mike's pitiful voice, Nicola rejected him angrily.
No way. Those people always made snide remarks about wanting a grandson every time they saw me. I've had enough. The three of you can figure it out together. Don't contact us anymore. It's a nuisance.
After hanging up, Nicola immediately slid her finger across her mobile phone screen.
I blocked Dad's number. He's definitely going to try calling again. Thank you.
When they were making snide remarks at me, you always stood up for me, but Dad just laughed it off. That's why I'm not helping him either. Nicola's firm stance made perfect sense to me. Later, Mike had to explain the situation to the parents-in-law and reluctantly sold the house we had lived in. The parents-in-law, who had assumed they were living off savings to pay the mortgage, were dumbfounded. I also didn't forget to make Mike compensate for the Heritage brand dinnerware set he had discarded. The dinnerware set I bought during my single years was worth over $20,000. I demanded repayment through a lawyer and made sure it was paid in full from the proceeds of the house sale. As for the three who moved into an apartment after selling the house and whether they are getting along, Sharon, who wanted to spend her retirement in luxury, was furious, accusing the others of recklessly spending the remaining money. Mike, having no choice but to live with the parents-in-law, started working part-time. However, the parents-in-law didn't do any housework at all and just lounged on the sofa, giving orders. As a result, the three of them are constantly fighting, and an acquaintance told me they've been complained about by their neighbors for noise disturbances. I, having bought a high-rise condo with my savings, thanked Nicola for her support and moved in. Breaking free from a man who valued his parents over his wife and daughter, I feel both mentally and physically refreshed, and I'm able to focus more on my work. I've been put in charge of a new store opening soon, and my days are busy. Moving forward, I plan to live a fulfilling life, keeping in touch with my daughter who lives nearby.